Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Uh, as I was enjoying this beautiful weather here out here in Miami, I was thinking of some simple habits that anybody could do even if they're lazy. So I came up with some things that I feel like, because in my journey I was very lazy. I'm gonna be going over pretty much like 5 things that help me essentially lose weight pretty easy without like putting in too much work. It does take slightly bit of discipline from your side, but I am going to be going over a few things to make that even easier for you. So number one is going to be setting up your environment to win. So what do I mean by that? So a lot of guys, they'll say like, hey, yeah, I want to start losing weight. But then you look at their pantry and they have a bunch of junk food in there. So the way you set up your environment is simply just not buying the junk food, staying away from it. And if, like, let's say you're living with your parents or you're living with a girlfriend, whatever it may be, and they want to buy it for themselves, that's completely cool. Just tell them to hide it. Like, literally tell them to hide those junk food from you. Because that would happen to me a lot. I would follow my diet throughout the whole day, and then at night, or I would just see the Dorito bag laying around, or I'll see a chocolate cookie or whatever it may be, and I'd just be tempted right away to eat that food, right? Even though I followed everything, I did everything right, but I would just be tempted to eat it because it's there. So one of the things that really helped me, and it didn't really take much work, is just simply staying away from junk food and just not buying junk food at all. And it's gotten to the point where now, even like, yeah, like now when I see when I see a junk food laying around, whether it's a chocolate or a piece of a cookie, a Dorito bag, whatever it may be, I really don't care anymore. Like, it doesn't really bother me anymore. It's kind of like setting up a goal, right? So if you set up a goal, like let's say you want to make X amount of money, okay, or let's just say, yeah, let's say you want to make X amount of money a month, right? So there's two sides of that goal, right? So there's two sides. So one part is going to be what actions do I need to take to be able to achieve that goal, and then there's also the other side, which is what actions do I not need to take to achieve that goal, right? So it's kind of like the same thing in the sense that, okay, if my goal is to lose weight, why would I have food laying around in the pantry, and every time that I go to work I see that pantry, eventually I will fall into temptation. Does that make sense? So try to avoid buying junk food. I know if you're living with someone else that may be a little bit tough, but just tell them like, hey, can you hide it for me? Just tell them straight up, like, you hide it from you, so that way you don't eat it. So number two is an interesting one because number two is a very interesting one because I would say most people struggle with this, especially if you smoke weed. I don't smoke weed, but I've heard it from friends. So that's gonna be sleeping. That's gonna be going to sleep early. So between like 9 to 10, max 11. The reason for this is because if you stay late, and it's happened to me. I'm not a weed smoker or anything, but when I used to play video games, and I used to stay up until like 3, 4 a.m., I would get the munchies, and bro, that's when it gets really bad. Like, that's when it gets really, really, really bad. So yeah, I would eat a bunch of shit food. It didn't matter what was in front of me. I'm eating it. I didn't care. And it often does happen a lot with people who smoke. My coworkers at work, a lot of them smoke, and they seem to struggle with this a lot. And so yeah, a lot of my coworkers struggle with that because they'll get the munchies at night, especially after they smoke weed or whatever. And I'm always thinking like, dude, why didn't they just go to sleep early? And they seem to have a hard time doing that. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it's the weed. I don't know what it is exactly, but going to sleep early is going to save you a lot of mental energy because you're not going to have to force yourself to not eat because you're going to be sleeping. So you're not going to get the munchies because you're going to be sleeping. So instead of trying to be super disciplined and staying away from the from the food at night, you're simply just going to go to sleep early so that way that doesn't happen. Again, the whole point of this is to kind of stay away from temptations. These are little habits that you can implement that are going to help you lose weight fairly easy. Like, this is not hard to do. Anyone can do this. Like I was saying, like, it used to happen to me often where I used to play video games until like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., whatever it may be. Um, and it used to be happen to me a lot, where after I'm done, after I'm done playing, I would just go out, go in the refrigerator, find whatever there is, and just eat it. Because I would get the munchies, and I don't even, for me, it wasn't even that bad because I don't even smoke. So it's pretty crazy. Like, just simply going to sleep early is gonna make you avoid that, which then in turn it's gonna mean that you're gonna eat less calories, and you're gonna lose weight. Okay. So yeah, that's for number two. Let's now move on to number three. Number three is gonna be high protein, low carb diet. And this one's a pretty easy one to follow as well, in my opinion, because, well, personally, I'm someone who loves protein. Like, I love, steak, chicken, all that stuff. I love that. I can eat that every single day. So high protein, low carb diet is really not that hard to follow if you like, protein, because protein is very filling. Fills you up very quickly, in my opinion. And it's one of those things that after you're done eating, you actually don't feel bloated. You feel great. You still feel energized. You don't go through that crash. Now, I'm not saying to completely cut out carbs. I'm just saying to keep it low carb. So, like, let's say if let's say you eat rice, instead of like putting 2 scoops of rice, just put one. Keep it like relatively low carb. Don't completely remove carbs because you do need carbs, especially if you're going to the gym or you're doing some type of athletic exercise. Do not remove carbs. Just simply stick to a high protein, low carb diet. So what I do is, when it comes to lunch, I just, I have a whatever protein there is, and then I essentially put like 1 scoop of rice, or like maybe sometimes 1 scoop, some maybe two, depending on the day. And then for dinner, I just simply have a high protein meal, with some eggs, whatever protein there is, and that's it. There's no carbs there. There's nothing there. So I allow myself to get the carbs in lunch, but not in dinner. I do that just because it's easier for me to. It feels easier. I do that because I don't feel as full. I don't want to feel super full at dinner, because that's when I'm going to sleep usually. So I promise you, you implement this, whatever diet you're on right now, you're gonna lose weight, and it's really not that hard to follow because you can still get to eat a lot of the good foods. You can still implement a little bit of carbs here and there, but it's just gonna be less carbs, and you're gonna be eating a lot of the protein, which is gonna help you as well build muscle, which building muscle also reduces fat. So yeah. And then lastly, for number four, this one's gonna be a huge one for you guys. I think if you implement this, I could almost guarantee that you're gonna lose weight, and that's gonna be intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is very huge for me, and it has been very huge for me ever since I implemented it. Because I remember when I started implementing it, I lost weight like literally within the next week. It was crazy. So the reason for that is because I used to have these breakfasts, and my breakfast used to be like shitty breakfast, like typical American breakfast. A bowl of cereal with some milk, and those cereals, they have a bunch of sugar, a bunch of shitty seed oils, stuff like that. So once I stopped eating breakfast overall, well, one, I built a better relationship with food because I was more resistant to it. Like, I wasn't as tempted to food as it used to be before I started like actually implementing that. And two, I started losing weight because I was eating less. So once you implement this, if you're like a breakfast guy, it may be a little bit tough for you, but try to implement it because, like, one, you feel great throughout the morning. Like, there's a bunch of benefits to this. You have an insane amount of focus in the morning because your body hasn't consumed anything. You're not making your body work in the morning. You're so focused because your body's not digesting a bunch of food bright and early. So try to intermittent fast. Usually what I would do is I will have some type of iced coffee that's going to help you get throughout that morning. And then right at 12 p.m., that's when I will first have my lunch. Again, high protein, low carb meal at that point. So yeah, implement intermittent fasting. It's going to help you, especially if you do some work in the morning. That work in the morning is going to get done a lot quicker than if you would have ate food. Because you're a lot more focused. Again, you don't have your body busy digesting food. and it's also just like an overall healthy thing to do. So usually in the morning when I'm intermittent fasting, I try to get whatever work I have, I try to start with the hardest thing because I'm so dialed in, I'm so focused, I'm so undistracted that everything is just so easy because for some reason I'm just so focused when I'm fasting. I'm not making this shit up. Like, this is like scientifically proven. Like, if you're fasting, you're more focused. And once again, like, it's gonna build a good relationship with food. Um, and I think it's very important, bro. Like, people really sleep on that because a lot of the times, let's say if you force yourself into a diet, like, that's good, that's cool. But you kind of have to implement a lot of discipline. You have to be extremely disciplined, and you almost build like this hate relationship with food because you're forced to eat shitty food. In my opinion, you should do it the other way around. You should have a good relationship with food, because for me, it's getting to the point where again I'm going past by snacks, going past by, chocolate, cookies, whatever it may be, pastries, whatever. And dude, it doesn't bother me anymore. Like I just walk through them, and whereas before I would be like, ooh, what is this? And I just take a bite for whatever reason, even though I wasn't really hungry. I would just take a bite because it was there, you know. So yeah, these are the top four things that I implemented that helped me lose weight very quickly, and it didn't really take that much work. Like, this is something that you can start doing today. It just takes just a little bit of discipline. It'd be worse if I tell you like go on a diet. Like, at that point, yes, you do need a lot of discipline at that point. I'm not telling you to go into like a specific diet. I'm just saying keep it high protein, low carb. So if you like carbs, eat them at lunch, right? Eat some carbs at lunch, and then at night during dinner, don't eat any carbs, just a protein meal, right? So I'm not telling you to cut out carbs. I'm just telling you to lower them and just have it once a day. That's it. I promise you, if you implement these four, or it was 4 or 5 things. So I promise you, if you implement these 5 things that I just mentioned, you're gonna lose weight one way or another. And again, it doesn't take that much work. So if you're lazy, if you were anything like me, that you do not like diets, this will help you. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. If you do have any questions on anything, just shoot me a comment. I'll make sure to respond to that. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.